Good morning. Good morning. Let me welcome you to the Arlington County Boardroom. My name is Mary Hines, and I'm the current chair of the Arlington County Board. It's my job to sort of set the stage a tad for you. I want to apologize in advance. I have an emergency WMATA meeting this morning that I'm going to leave after we present the colors, and my colleague Jay Fassett, who was chair last year when we did the proclamation or the resolution, will come and be the MC for our program. We're also joined this morning by Libby Garvey, who is another member of the county board in the back, and by two members of our General Assembly, Senator Barbara Favola and Delegate Rob Krupika. I don't think we have any other elected officials in the room. Our police chief, Jay Farr, is here. And we do have the Deputy Secretary of Public Safety and Homeland Security, Tanya Chapman, who is well known to us in Arlington, a former member of our police force. We're joined also by the Virginia Police Superintendent, Colonel Steve Flaherty, who you'll hear from in a bit, and by former State Police Superintendent Wayne Huggins, who now serves as Executive Director of the Virginia State Police Association. Also joining us are Lieutenant Colonel George Daniels from the State Police Bureau of Field Operations, the Fairfax Division Commander, Captain Jim DeFord, and the Fairfax Division Lieutenant Steve Hawkins and J.P. Kushel. And finally, we're joined by members of Trooper Vernon's family, Ron Vernon, Dr. John Vernon Jr., Shirley Bird, and their spouses and children. And I'd ask all the Vernon family who are able to please stand so that we can recognize you. So thank you. You can stay standing because the next thing that we're going to do is have the presentation of the colors by the Arlington County Police Department, and I believe the national anthem will be sung as well. Thank you.
Go. Attention. Go. Right shoulder on. Big. Color. Forward. On. Go. Oh. Go. Reset. On.
Oh, see, can you see, by the dawn's early light, what a worthy field at the twilight's last gleam, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight, for the lovers we want, we're so gallantly streaming, that the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, give proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave? For the love and the free and the hope of the brave.
Color. Right shoulder on. Color. Forward. On. Color. Right. Eight. Forward. On.
Okay, thank you. You can all be seated. Again, my name is Jay Fassett, and Mary, thank you, and the Honor Guard, thank you, and Liza Hudskins, who happens to be my aide back there, also has a great voice. Thank you. All right, we have a few speakers who are going to come up and say a few words now, and I'll invite them one at a time. First, Colonel Wade Huggins has had a distinguished 40-plus year career in law enforcement. He served as the sheriff in Fairfax County, the superintendent of state police, and is now the executive director of the Virginia State Police Association. Welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good morning. It doesn't seem possible that a year has passed since many of us appeared in this very room to support the resolution that the Arlington County Board of Supervisors so graciously, unanimously passed. Thank you, Mr. Fassett, for that. But then again, it doesn't seem possible that it's been almost 30 years since Jackie was taken from us. This is long overdue, and we're delighted. The State Police Association, the men and women of the State Police Association are delighted to have played a role in making this day possible. My role today is to recognize and thank those people who did indeed make this day possible. And I'd like to begin by thanking the Arlington County Board of Supervisors. Without their support and the resolution that they passed, the path in the General Assembly might not have been quite as easy. Most of all, I want to thank Senator Favola and Delegate Krupika. I met with them, I guess it's been a little over a year ago now. Senator Favola here in her home office and Delegate Krupika in his General Assembly office. When I explained the significance of this project to them and the historical nature of Jackie's service and of her passing, they leaped at the opportunity to patron the Senate and House versions of this bill. They were the quarterbacks of the team, and they did a masterful job at guiding this legislation successfully through the General Assembly. So I would like to thank both of you publicly for your support and what you did. And finally, there's one other person I'd like to thank, and sometimes the people kind of behind the scenes don't get the credit that they deserve, but I don't know where Pat Carroll is, but there she is. There she is, way in the back of the room, not getting the recognition she deserves. Pat and I became acquainted a little over a year ago, and she was my contact person here in Arlington. She could not have been kinder, more gracious, more supportive. So, Pat, thank you also very much. So, in closing, on behalf of the men and women of the Virginia State Police Association, thank you for helping us keep our promise to our members that their sacrifices will never, ever, ever be forgotten. And now the citizens of the Commonwealth will remember that sacrifice as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Colonel Huggins. Now I'd like to invite up Delegate Rob Krupika, who has represented the 45th District in Virginia House of Delegates for the past 3 years. Sadly, he has decided not to re-up. He'll be leaving at the end of this year, but prior to that, he served on the Alexandria City Council. And as you've heard, he is the delegate who introduced this legislation to designate the bridge for Trooper Vernon in the House of Delegates. Delegate Krupika, please.
Good afternoon, everybody. We've talked a lot over the last year as we worked on this project about what it means to be first. And a big part of why we're doing this is to remember all of the challenges and all of the sacrifices that come with being first at something. Because we all know being first is never easy. It takes support from family and friends who have to be there for you when you're struggling with things that maybe folks who come after you won't have to struggle with. It takes the support of your community and your coworkers, because being first often requires folks to have to think differently about how they do things and how they work with other people. And it's important in society and in our community that we put up markers to folks who are first, because they give us hope that we can do something and someone else can be first at something else. So it was a really easy decision to want to participate in this project because it represents so much about what's possible and what can be done when we all work together and provide support so that people can be first at something. It also is important to acknowledge that this is about sacrifice. And obviously, Trooper Vernon paid the ultimate sacrifice, but the family and friends all paid sacrifices as well. And we're so honored that you all came today to be here and share in this with us. Because you carry the honor of her many accomplishments with you every day, but you also have to carry the sacrifice of losing her in your family as you go about your lives. And it means a lot that you're here, and I think it's really special to all of us to be able to celebrate your family and your family's sacrifices with this. And then lastly, to our state troopers who brought this project forward and said this was something they wanted to do, that they thought was important, that they identified as being important not just for the state, not just for the family and our community, but for their whole force. And because every day they put themselves on the line for us in our great state. And every day they sacrifice for us, and they have family members who are also making sacrifices so that they can serve us. And it's important to remind them and find ways to remind them about how much we appreciate what they do and how much we really honor what our troopers do for us every day and the sacrifices they make. And this naming of this bridge is a way for us to say thank you also to all of our troopers for the great work they do, and to let them know we do remember and we do appreciate. So it's just been a huge honor to be a part of this. I really thank everyone for being here, and I can't wait to see the sign when it's taken off. See you soon. Thank you.
Thank you, Rob. Next is our state senator from the 31st district, someone I worked with here in this county boardroom for about 14 years. And Barbara Favola is the senator who introduced this legislation in the state Senate. Barbara.
Thank you, Mr. Fassett. First, I want to thank each and every one of you for coming to this dedication today. It is so important that we as a community are willing to acknowledge publicly the value of public service, the sacrifice that public service always demands, and to stand there and to tell the loved ones and family members of Jackie Vernon how special Jackie was and how much we all appreciated her and what she did contribute to our community and to our well-being. Jackie was 32 years old when she unfortunately lost her life in the line of duty. She was making a stop on 395, heading north between the sort of Glebe Road and Shirlington exits. I think she was trying to catch an HOV violator. But the point is that she took whatever risks she had to take to do her job. And time and again, her colleagues have been quoted as saying, "Jackie always had my back. Jackie was there. Jackie was loyal. Jackie was a first-rate professional." And the value of having this public dedication, in my mind, is making a public statement about how we hold those traits dear. Jackie graduated in 1984 as a woman in a male-dominated profession. I just know in my heart she had lots of challenges. I don't think her male colleagues, and I think our men have come a very long way, and I give you credit for that, but in 1984, I don't think her male colleagues embraced the idea of having a female wearing the badge. I think she continually felt she had to prove herself every day, every hour, every time a situation came up. I'm sure she felt she had to be better. She had to perform at a higher level, and she just didn't have any time or room for failure. So I have to respect that, and I think all of you respect it as well. Finally, I just want to conclude by saying that in its 83-year history, the Virginia State Police has lost a total of 60 sworn personnel. So I want to say that to the state police, to the county folks who are here in uniform, and to all of the county staff who do public service, we know the sacrifice. And we are very grateful that you're willing to do that for all of us. I think there is no higher honor. And to the family of Jackie Vernon, we thank you. You raised and nurtured a wonderful human being. She paved the way for so many of us, and she did a wonderful, wonderful job as a trooper. So we all thank you.
Thank you, Barbara. Next, I'd like to invite up Colonel Steve Flaherty, who is a third-generation state trooper who ascended to the position of superintendent of the Virginia State Police in 2003. He's been a public safety professional for about 40 years. Please join us.
Well, thank you. Thank you. Thank you so very much. You're going to hear me say that. I never get tired of saying it, and certainly won't get tired of saying it today. What's being done here is pretty incredible for us at State Police and for Virginia and Virginians to see this ceremony and this recognition for Jackie. Wayne mentioned it's been a long time, and it has been a long time, and even the period of time since Ron and I visited, and Ron got to pushing this ball along, and Wayne became involved, and others, and in Arlington. Thank you all so much for what you've done. Even that year and a half to 2 year period of time that it took for the whole process seemed very long, but at the same time, 27 years have flown by in another respect. When you look back to that tragic Tuesday of August 16, 1988, when we lost Jackie, we lost a woman that meant so very, very much to so many. Certainly her family, her friends, the communities that she served, and her family to Virginia State Police. And let me assure you that over that period of time that her sacrifice didn't go unnoticed and didn't go without us remembering Jackie and what she did. You can ask her classmates. I told Ron and Shirley and John earlier that I had a great visit with members of the 73rd Basic Session out in the parking lot, and Jackie smiled down at us while we were talking and telling stories, I suspect. But they will tell you the time that they spent together, and many of them ended up right here in Arlington and in Northern Virginia area and working together. And there are others here today who worked with Jackie and had that privilege. I know that for those people that her untimely death was extremely difficult for every one of them, as it was for everyone in the state police. Particularly one, not to call out Master Trooper Chuck King, but August 16th was Chuck's birthday when we lost Jackie. He wasn't in town that day, but I had the privilege, not the privilege of working with her in an operational sense, but I was a baby sergeant at the academy in 1984. Had been there a little less than 6 months in January of 1984 when Jackie first came in the door. She did her little abbreviated training and fired her weapon, which she had no problem with, in qualifying. She went to Roanoke, and some of you who are like me, whose hair's turning gray and turning loose, remember Tim Price. Tim Price was her FTO in Roanoke, and worked with Jackie during that period of time until school started April 2nd of 1988. And she returned to the academy then, and retired Captain Ronnie Saunders was her sergeant at the academy. We worked together there, and I taught several classes that she attended. I remember as being a little bit shy, But the thing that I remember most of all, and another legend in the department, Sergeant Paul Rockacharlie, who, to give you some perspective, was Wayne Huggins' boss at one time, taught motor vehicle code. Now, knowing that Jackie had previous law enforcement experience, she very much excelled at that class, and certainly when you look back at her performance here in Arlington County, in Northern Virginia, she excelled at enforcement of the motor vehicle code as well. I've been trying, and I meant to ask some of her classmates earlier, who she boxed in basic school. Because I remember the staff getting together after the boxing and saying, we don't want to get in the ring with Jackie, because she certainly held her own there. You know, you talk about her personality. Another former classmate and shiftmate of hers was Louise Kitts, Louise Dyer, Trooper Louise Dyer. And she wrote a special memoriam following Jackie's death about her. And let me just share those passages, and it speaks to the comments that the senator just made. She said, Jackie was always there when the situation called for it. And in the vast majority of instances, she showed up without being called. And she said she was the walking definition of loyalty, loyal to her friends. No favor was too big, and no hour too early when you needed her. Jackie demonstrated that dedication to public safety and dedication to others throughout her life and throughout her service. From the coal fields of West Virginia to the time that she spent in the military, a decorated soldier. She came back and was a security guard. She was a police officer locally, and then to her time with the Virginia State Police. Her life was a life of service to others. And that's why today's ceremony is so very, very important. It's very important that we say thank you, Jackie. And we say thank you to the Vernon family. It's very important that we say thank you for those years of service and for protecting the communities in which she lived, her commonwealth, and for serving her country. It's our way of letting you all, particularly Shirley and John and Ron and the Vernon family, know that Jackie's life and her public service and her memories, well, they live on in each one of us that wear this uniform and serve the public every day. And now, as people pass up and down Interstate 395, they will come to know her as well. Jackie's official portrait was dedicated to the Denny Meade Slane Memorial Art Gallery at headquarters in 1990. This is a copy of it right here. And the then superintendent, Bill Corvella, spoke that day, and Bill's a little bit of history buff. He reached back to Abraham Lincoln's words that day, and the words from the dedication at the cemetery at Gettysburg. And he said, the world will little note nor long remember what we say here. Well, we could say that today. I think President Lincoln underestimated the power of his words that day. But I know that those of you here will remember the snippets of comments that we made here today. And those memories will live on, but the sign will remain in place, and it'll be a vivid memory for generations yet to come that pass up and down the highway there. And what it will tell them, they won't know the details of what happened here and what happened to Jackie, but they'll know about her sacrifice, and they'll know that somebody very special was here. So, to the entire Vernon family, I say thank you. Thank you for sharing her with us. Thank you for the fact that I got to know her. And know that we know that your sacrifices have been many. Even before that day in 1988, the sacrifice of having someone in law enforcement is very demanding and very real. And we know that your suffering has been heart-wrenching since that time. Today is not meant to reopen those wounds. Today is the day of celebration of her life, of fellowship with those that knew her and family, and a time to hopefully give you some comfort and healing as we move along. And you remember that your sister, your cousin, your aunt, that she'll be forever remembered. She'll be forever honored and cherished, not only today and tomorrow, but for generations yet to come. As we leave here, we want to keep that in mind and keep it in our hearts and in our mind. Keep her sacrifice and her valor and her service. She was someone who proudly wore this uniform of blue and gray. No doubt about it, every day that she worked. And we don't say today that Jacqueline Vernon was a Virginia State Police trooper, because she very much is and will always be a Virginia State Police trooper. She'll never, ever be forgotten. She'll be forever missed. God bless each and every one of you. Thank you so much for being here, and may God bless Jackie's memory. Thank you.
Colonel Flaherty, thank you very much. That was very nice. And now I'd like to invite Jackie's brother, Ronald, up to say some words on behalf of the larger family.
After listening to him, I didn't want to get up because he pretty much said everything I wanted to say. But I wanted to thank God for this day. Thank God that we are here assembled to do this. I want to, on behalf of the family, I want to thank the state of Virginia. I want to thank the city of Arlington and all of those who participated. Someone told me once that an angel was someone that God puts in your path when you needed help. And so many people came forward when we were doing this. When we ran into roadblocks, there was somebody who stepped forward to help us push a little bit harder. When we felt discouraged, there was somebody who reached out a hand and said, "It's okay, let's keep going." I found people that I didn't know that were little angels in disguise, people I'd never seen before, never heard of, but came out of nowhere. I wanted to tell you a little bit about Jackie, even though the Colonel has told you a lot about her. I wanted to say a couple of things about her. Even though I find myself torn between the sadness that I feel in the loss of my sister and the exultation I feel when I know where we are and know that we finally got here. In life, Jackie struggled with the circumstances in which she found herself. She was not satisfied being different. As a result, she constantly took jobs traditionally set aside for men. Jackie believed that she could do anything, and she frequently found herself fighting against tradition and society in her life. How many times did she hear, one person can't fight the system, one vote doesn't matter, one person doesn't matter, one simply is not enough. Society has forgotten the power of one. Because it said, one tree can start a forest, one vote can change a nation, one star can guide a ship, one touch can show you care. And yes, one life can make a difference. Think not? Look around you. Look at all the people whose life has been touched by Jackie and who know her and who came out and sacrificed to be here today. One life can make a difference. A young girl who struggled all her life to be significant until one day she put on the gray of a Virginia State trooper and her life was forever transformed. I saw a young, bewildered girl change into a confident, strong, proud, and dedicated young woman who finally saw herself as somebody. Jackie enjoyed her job as a state trooper. Oddly enough, those who know her, the first thing we would have thought was that she enjoyed screaming down a highway with her hair on fire, chasing bad guys, but that wasn't what she told me. I asked her about her job one day, and she told me about one story that always stuck in my mind. She told the story of pulling up behind a car with a little old lady who had a flat tire. She said the lady had no cell phone, didn't belong to AAA or any of those roadside assistance, and she said all she could think about was her mother. She took off her little bear hat, rolled up her sleeves, and went out and changed the lady's flat and sent her on her way. Trooper Vernon had found the power of one. But then came the unthinkable. Cut down into the prime of her life, the end of watch came on the morning of August 18th, 1988. As she struggled for recognition in life, so she struggled again for recognition in death. 27 years and 10 days since the end of watch. However, today we gather together to celebrate the life of one Trooper, Jackie Vernon. The words from Ecclesiastes often haunt me. They say the race is not given to the swift, nor to the strongest, but to he who endureth unto the end. Now, when I look around, I can finally say, the day is done, the struggle is over, time to rest. Sleep well, my sister, sleep well.
Mr. Vernon, trust me, Colonel Flaherty didn't say it all. Together, you all said it all. Thank you very much. I'd like to invite those that just spoke to come up for the unveiling, along with John Vernon and Shirley Bird. Please join us up here and we will unveil this beautiful plaque. How do we do this? How do we do this? What's the best way? Stand over. I don't know. What's the best way to do this? Shall we stand a little bit? And maybe
We'll make it work.
Lift it up. And you all are taking some pictures. Ready? 1, 2, 3.
Yeah.
Pretty cool. Impressive.
I think now we have, that's a big sign. That's pretty big. No one's going to forget Jackie now. And before we finish, we're going to have a special tribute. The Virginia State Police have prepared a PowerPoint about Jackie and her life. And Lynn, you're ready to start something rolling, I believe. I don't know if you need to turn down the lights any further or not. To the Virginia State Police, thank you for putting that together for all of us as we conclude today. I'm just going to say a couple of very brief words. I think last year, when you all came and we had our resolution, and this year, I think it's hard not to believe that there's more positive feeling, more love, more goodwill, and collaboration among so many folks and organizations to get to this point in this room than we may have had all last year at that moment, and we may have all this year in this moment. So we thank you for that. There have been many thanks given already to those who wear a uniform and protect our communities and our citizens in whatever form or fashion. To those in the General Assembly that helped make this happen, and most of all, to the first several rows here of the family. I can only imagine it's not necessarily an easy day, but it's a beautiful day nonetheless. And know whether some pretty young here, maybe Jackie was an aunt or grandmother or whatever, but Jackie's memory will be even stronger now for those that are new to this world since she passed. It's not everyone that ends up at the end of their lifetime with a portrait and a bridge or a piece of infrastructure named after them, and so please know that this is a blessing to all of us. And on behalf of all my colleagues on the county board, we thank you for bringing Jackie to us. And we know that her life's work, her memories, her accomplishments will now clearly never be forgotten. Thank you very much, and thank you all for coming today.